All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone Rule Well. Peace and salutations to the elect. This is Brother Barak coming at you with another lesson that I pray is edifying and exhorting. Right, and I just want to, touch on this topic, about compound interest in the spirit and also to be deep is to master the basics, and I'm gonna tie this all in through the spirit and power of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, and Lord willing is edifying. But I'm gonna start here with this quote that I know brothers are all familiar with. This Bruce Lee quote, where he says, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." Right. So pretty much, if you were to break that down, like, with knowledge or the scriptures or whatever, if you practice 10,000 kicks once, that's pretty much, you just regurgitating what you hear. You having no true. You may be able to regurgitate a fact, but you don't have no true understanding of what you're truly speaking on. But it says, "But I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times." So now, somebody who has practiced one kick 10,000 times, he has mastered that. He's on the way to mastering it. He's more in depth with it, with the stance, the speed, okay, how to strike, when to strike, and all these things add up. And the beloved Elder Bishop Ayathan, he did a lesson a couple weeks ago, going into I forgot the title of it, but one thing that he did say is, like, anything that you do, consistently, he mentioned it takes about 10 years, to really get in the flow of it, to get in the spirit of it. Okay. But let's see what they got for meaning of this quote. "A person with vast but unrefined knowledge," well, it says focus over breadth. "A person with vast but unrefined knowledge of martial arts is less intimidating than someone who has mastered a single technique through relentless repetition." And repetition, as the beloved Apostle Gabar always quotes, repetition is the father of skill. It says dedication and mastery. The quote suggests that true effectiveness comes from intense, consistent practice leading to profound skill in one area. Application beyond martial arts. This principle applies to any field, illustrating the value of concentrated effort to achieve excellence in a chosen kick or skill. And then what I was also researching, I forgot exactly where I got it from. It might be up on the, now wasn't that. Oh yeah, it might be this part here. But pretty much, what I was going to say, Salakia. Oh yeah, so pretty much, even after you master that skill, you learn the principles of it, the ins and outs of it. You pretty much also learn how it interacts and connects with other things. Because, like, when you kicking, it ain't just about the kick; it's about the force, the speed, the body flow, the timing, all those things come into play. But yeah, the main thing that what you're mastering is the kick, but it's the details, that's in it. And we can liken this into the scriptures, man, because it's constantly, ultimately about the simplicity of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, man. And really the deepest thing there is to fear the Lord, keep the high single and apply the fear of the Lord to our daily walk. And that's ultimately where you get the increase at. That's how you be covered. Okay, the fear of the Lord, and that goes that's faith, because you believe that He is. So you fear Him, you revere Him as that ultimate power. You see. So matter of fact, let's get a precept. And this is the deepest. This is deep. This here is deep. But then we go show you how deep this is, but what's the simplicity of it. Ecclesiastes, also known as Sirach, chapter 19, verse 24. "He that hath small understanding and feareth the Most High is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High." You see? Because the true beginning of wisdom is to fear the Lord. You see? So one that have much wisdom or professes to have much wisdom but transgresses the law of the Most High, he's not deep. He's not even rooted. Okay? You see? He hasn't taken grasp and hold of this truth. Now let's go back to the beginning of this verse. He that has small understanding might not be able to go into these breakdowns and do this and do that and be the most eloquent man on the internet. Okay. But he that has small understanding and fear of the Most High is better than one that have much wisdom and transgress the law of the Most High. So really, the prior, the first one that is speaking about, he that has small understanding and fear of the Most High, he's really deeper than one that has much wisdom. Why? Because he's rooted. He's actually locked in, right? He's mastering the basics, the fundamentals, the principles, which I believe I had that word pulled up here. Yep, the principle. It says origin, source, beginning, rule of conduct, action, basic assumption, elemental aspect of a craft or discipline. So the basic is the chief thing. It's the deepest thing. It's all about, if you want to be deep, you got to master the basics. That's all being deep is mastering the basics. So you go into the you learn about the Gentiles, the Greek history. So we know more than the average person, right? Because what, first and foremost, when you come into like the apostles going to, like when you liken them to the animals, I believe the first one would be, I believe it's a toad just knowing nothing, and then it would be the parrot just regurgitating what you hear, right? But then as you continue to grow in this thing, right, you become a dragon, you become a serpent, okay? Wise, truly understanding when to move, when to strike, how to move, okay? And I always speak about this one thing I seen on Nat Geo Wild. It was a serpent. I forget what kind of snake it was, but it had ate like a cub of a leopard or a cheetah or something. But the mother kept trying to, the mother kept trying to grab the snake, but the snake was hidden in a little, like between some rocks, so the mother cat couldn't get to it. So every time the snake tried to come out, the mother would come down. So then the snake had to realize the cub, since it was taking too long to digest, it was slowing it down. So what that cub did, what the snake did was regurgitate, the cub, so that way it can make an escape, right? And that was wisdom by that serpent, okay, for an escape. So just showing, the levels of understanding, right? So let's go back here. So now I type this in on Google. Damn it. I typed in to be deep is to master the basics. It's AI overview. The saying to be deep is to master the basics means that genuine and profound expertise in any field is built upon a complete and effortless command of its fundamental principles. And we just went into the principles, the origins, right? And we know the beginning of wisdom, the beginning of knowledge is to fear the Lord. And even King Solomon said that the whole, the conclusion, let's say the conclusion of the whole matter. Men's do this to fear the Lord and keep his commandments. And you see, and that's ultimately what Yahushua mastered. Yahushua mastered the fear of the Lord, by fearing him and keeping his ways. And we seen what he received. It says, true mastery is not found in complex, flashy techniques, but in the ability to apply foundational knowledge with such fluency that it becomes intuitive. You see, so man, it's just all about, mastering the basics. And like I say, I'm not saying just going into, because of course you need to know the origins of the Gentile. You need to know, you gotta know some Greek, you gotta know some Hebrew to teach these scriptures. You gotta know some maps. And then once you master that, then you really can get deep on the scriptures. But I'm saying, like, ultimately, overall, it's really to fear the Lord. The Lord will give you the increase anyway. It said this ideal is expressed in various ways across many disciplines. Let's see. Foundation for complexity. The basics are the building blocks. Yep. Without a rock-solid foundation, any attempt to build more complex knowledge is precarious and inefficient. You can't perform advanced mathematical calculations without knowing basic arithmetic, just as you can't be a great chef without first knowing how to properly chop, saute, and season. That's right. Efficiency and speed, when fundamentals are internalized, you can perform them without conscious thought. That's heavy, because that's another thing that Bruce Lee said. He said, he don't tell his leg to kick, it just kicks. It says this frees up your mental energy to focus on higher level creative or strategic thinking. A musician who doesn't have to think about finger placement on a guitar can instead focus on improvisation and emotional expression. Let's see. Let's look it out. Let's read this. The anti-shortcut. It says that the saying counters the modern impulse to seek hacks or quick fixes. And that's big in modern society now. They always talking about a hack, always looking for a shortcut, man. And the thing is, especially in this truth, you can't shortcut it. It says focusing on mastering the basics is a commitment to a slow, disciplined process, but it is the only path to long-term success because now you really got it. It's really in you. Okay. It was another something else I had seen earlier. Man, not earlier today, but I believe it was yesterday. I had asked the same question, but it was pretty much going to what I quoted earlier about you know not being shallow, right? But let's get some precepts. We're gonna come back there, but I want to get this. And that's why when you see the apostles and elders do those lessons, those back to the basic lessons, you got to check those lessons out. Okay, we have to constantly check those lessons out because it's depths, to it. It's you things is constantly being revealed to you. And to be the simple thing, that's when you had those epiphanies because really it goes back then when you had those epiphanies like, oh man, I can't believe I ain't noticed that because it's really going back to the basics. Now you seeing something that was so simple that was there, but that was overlooked. Or now you seeing how though it may be so simple, how it connects with something else. Okay, now you're seeing the interaction of these things. Okay, as newborn babies, and what do babies have to do? They have to they have to master the basics, the foundations. You gotta master balance before you can start walking. Okay, you see that's why babies crawl before they walk. As newborn babes, 1 Peter 2:1, wherefore laying aside all malice and all guile, and hypocrisies and envies and all evil speakings, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word that ye may grow thereby. You see? So it goes back to the sincere milk. Okay? NLT, like newborn babes, you must crave pure spiritual milk so that you will grow into a full experience of salvation. Cry out for this nourishment. And that's ultimately, faith, man. Without faith, it is impossible to please him. So that show you that the foundation is the root of this thing is what is the fear of the Lord, keep his commandments, and that faith, right? But you can't fear him if you don't believe that he is, right? So that comes with faith is ultimately, the foundation. I forgot how the priest Mark Cobb said. I believe he said faith. I think that's how he said faith is the foundation for salvation. I believe that's how the priest said, man. I'm gonna have to get that brother a call, Lord willing. It says, verse 3, if so be ye have tasted that the Lord is gracious, right? So you come into this truth. That means you tasted that the Lord is gracious. So what we should be doing is desiring the sincere milk, making sure our foundation is solid, building our house on that rock, which is Yahweh Shai. Okay? So now let's go to Isaiah, because it just said that sincere milk, right? And that's who the Lord is dealing with. Isaiah 28. Isaiah 28:9, for whom shall he teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast. So those that are like children, those that he's building up piece by piece. Like we're just speaking about, ain't no hacks, ain't no shortcuts. You ain't going from 5 years old to 15 years old. No, you got to go step by step. Seconds, minutes, days, months, weeks. Weeks before months. But you brothers follow what I'm saying. Okay, them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast, you got to be truly built up in this thing. The foundation, the building blocks, right? For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, here a little and there a little. Why? Because now you can see how the scriptures interact with each other. Now you can get context, right? Context. When you really get the context of the scriptures, that means you're starting to understand the basics. You're understanding the foundation. And then see that word basic is just so loosely used. Like people people make basic seem as if it's insignificant. And one thing I realized about the scriptures too, well, we all know nothing in the scriptures is insignificant, but also trivia. You know, trivia goes into like a little worth you know, won't be needed or not necessary. Not everything in the scriptures is necessary, because then you're able to see the whole story. But let's look up this word basic. I feel like that's a word that people kind of disrespect. You see, basic relating to base. Let's see. So pretty much going back to the origins. Base, foundation of a building, etc. Right? So if you ain't basic, you ain't got no foundation. Bottom of anything. Consider as its support. From old French, base, depth. What the scriptures say, the depths of the Lord. You see? So how deep is his foundation? He's unmovable. You see? Man, this thing is, man, mind-blowing. You see, like even as we're going through these so-called simple things, you see how mind-blowing it is, how it opens your mind up. You see? From Greek basis, a step, that on which one steps or stands, pedestal. You see? And do we not stand on Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai? You see? So he's definitely not insignificant. He's the base. He's the foundation. He's what's holding this thing together. You know? So don't be looking at basic like, you know, it's something to despise, man. And that's what happened with a lot of these people. They want to be too deep. Matter of fact, let's get that in 1 Timothy 3. And you see why the apostle Paul was writing these letters to the churches, you know, especially to Timothy, teaching him how to be a leader and who to set up as overseers and rulers. You know, those men will have to have a foundation. 1 Timothy 3:1, this is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach, not given to wine, nor striker, nor greedy of filthy lucre, but patient, not a brawler, nor covetous, one that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity. For if a man know not how to rule his own house, how should he take care of the church of the Most High? You see that? So he would have to master ruling his own house before you can try to rule amongst men. How to try to be a leader in the church of Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua. You got to master your own house. You got to lock down. We have to lock down these basics. Okay, not chasing every goddamn woman, right? That's why it says the husband of one wife, vigilant, you know, sober, so clear-minded, good behavior, well-mannered. He done mastered himself, right? How did you do that? By mastering the basics, fearing the Lord. Okay, verse 6, not a novice, lest being lifted up with pride, he fall into the condemnation of the devil, right? An elder must not be a new believer, because he might become proud and the devil will cause him to fail. You see, so you can't be a novice, you know. You have to have mastered the fundamentals, you see. And that takes time. What did Bruce Lee, we went over that quote. It said 10,000, he feared a man that don't fear the man that kick 10,000 kicks once, but that kick one kick 10,000 times. Because that man, he's become a master. He's not a novice. You see, so you don't want to be trying to be too deep, and you ain't locked down the origins. Okay. Ooh. It says newly planted. So if you newly planted, you haven't taken root. Okay. It takes time to get rooted in this thing, to be unmovable. Matter of fact, it's what is that? That you may be unmovable, wanting nothing. Let me see if I can find that real quick. But that's the word for novice right there. Actually, a Greek compound word. Ooh, recently born, right? So if you're recently born, you don't know nothing, man. You have to be taught. Okay, and this talking about being recently born in the spirit, you know, which I'm a younger brother myself, you know, still going through, still trying to master the basics, the fundamentals. Okay, to bring forth, produce. But it was something I wanted to get. I wanted to get that It says that he may be I go wanting nothing. Is it lacking nothing? This might be it. It's another one I'm thinking about. Where it said that you may be thoroughly furnished. Let's pull that one up after this one though. But this is James 1:4. But let patience, suffering have her perfect work. Why? Because you're mastering the basics. You're mastering how to apply the scriptures. You're mastering how to walk in the fear of the Lord. You see? That's why these things must come to pass. Let's go to verse 2. My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. So what you're doing, you're being tried. You're being rooted. You're being built up. But let patience have a perfect work, that ye may be perfect. Okay. Now you're getting deep and entire, wanting nothing. Why? Because you're learning how to trust the Lord. You learn how to walk in the fear of the Lord, how to lean on the Lord at all times, no matter how the situation looked. Now let's get this other one I was thinking about. Was we already in 2 Timothy? Now I did want to go to 2 Timothy though. So this is 2 Timothy 3:16. Let me see. Matter of fact, go to 2 Timothy 3:14. But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of, knowing of whom thou hast learned them. You see? The thing, so the scripture say, raise up a child in the way he should go. So when you come into this truth, our elders, starting with the head apostles on down, these are our spiritual fathers, our spiritual big brothers. It says, and that from a child that thou hast known the Holy Scripture. See, from a child, you've been weaned from the milk, okay, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith, which is in Hamashiach Yahushua. Remember, is grown men have been, newly converted. So this is talking about being born in the Spirit. All Scripture is given by inspiration of the Most High and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of the Most High may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. So now he's getting built up. He's getting deep. He's mastering the basics. He got a full understanding of the fundamentals. Okay. Now let's go backwards to chapter 2, verse 15. Yep. Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. You see? So that goes into just being locked in. Practicing that one kick 10,000 times. Practicing the fear of the Lord. Practicing faith. Walking on faith. We walk by faith, not by sight. Okay? Constantly reading, praying, fellowshipping. Okay? Let's see. We already read. Did we read 1 Timothy? I think we did. Yeah, we already read 1 Timothy. So we'll close out probably on Hebrews. Let's go to Hebrews real quick. Hebrews 5:12. It says, For when for the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of the Most High, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. You see? So, yeah, you may think you know the Bible, you know John 3:16, then now you thinking that you can just come in this and just take what you knew from the world and just start teaching. No, man. You got to be such as one that have need of milk, desire the sincere milk, because now you're being introduced to the true power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua. Now you got to learn what pleases him, how to serve him. Okay? You see? How to be disciplined. So let's read this in the NLT, because I see that word basic here. It says, you have been believers so long now that you ought to be teaching others. Instead, you need someone to teach you again the basic things about the Most High's word. You are like babies who need milk and cannot eat solid food. You see? So just, let this work have perfect time. Let it just take your time. Right? Verse 13, NLT. For someone who lives on milk is still an infant and does not know how to do what is right. You see? So us young brothers, we're still mastering the basics, how to do what is right, how to walk in the Spirit, how to trust the Spirit, how to really understand. Okay, man, I need to spend more time with the Lord. Okay, the Lord is telling me to do this. The Lord want me to go this way, right? Before you start trying to, you know, go super deep on breakdowns and all that. Nah, just build up on the basics, build up on the fundamentals, and that come with prayer and fasting and reading, and just fearing the Lord ultimately. Because remember, the Lord gives the increase. So that's another thing. Ain't no shortcuts to getting on such a level, man. You gotta just stay locked in and desire the sincere milk, and because the milk is deep itself, and like we already went into, to be deep is just to have a understanding of the basics, right? It says, verse 14, solid food is for those who are mature, who through training, you see, that goes in that repetition, have the skill to recognize the difference between right and wrong. And it's really to, like it says, to discern good and evil, right? But to, just have your understanding increased on how to move in this truth. Because we know what sin is, but it gets deeper than that. Context, remember, you learn more about faith, learn more about mercy, okay? And you really see that we need Yahweh Shai, okay? But that's just, as the Lord continue to build us up, we continue to understand more, right? But, the lesson went, well, I believe. I did want to add on to this compound interest, but what I'm going to do, I'll just bring that out in another lesson with some different precepts, because this one kind of more focused on these things here. So with that, I pray was edified and exhorted. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakadash. The honors to our apostles and elders had great millstone rule well. Peace, salutation to the elect. Shalom.